Hey YouTube, it is 6 p.m. Jesus. And we've been out today, obviously. We went to physical therapy again, the second time this week. I think my arm is feeling better. It's not 100%, but it's only when I move in like very specific ways or do very specific things that I feel just a little bit of pain there. So it's much better than it was like 6 months ago. The silver lining is that with all the gyms and everything closed, I've not been doing anything with my shoulder at all. So it's gone a lot better. But today it's pretty good. There's a bunch of exercises that I can keep on doing at home. I've got 2 more sessions next week before the double long weekend, and then I'll be all done physical therapy. I don't think I'll be back at the gym maybe until I get down to LA, which would be like the end of the month. And then yeah, we'll slowly ease back into the gym. I'm kind of glad that 2020 is canceled because that's going to give me a lot of time to hit the gym once they are open or once I get down to LA. I don't feel like there's going to be that much more traveling I'm going to do for the rest of the year. Not vacations anyways. There's not going to be any parties or events or in the summer to go to. In the fall is usually not that busy anyways. And then maybe by New Year's we might have something. We're gonna talk about something I don't think I've ever talked about in the daily vlog, but it hasn't been happening because I haven't been having any sex. So I usually take prep, 1 a day prep. So I have a ongoing prescription for it. If you've taken prep before, actually, if you don't know what prep is medication for, you know what? I can't actually pronounce what the words prep means. Pre-exposure prophylaxis. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that properly. Basically, it's medication you take to reduce the chance of an HIV infection. And it's roughly 99% effective. So it's a pill you take once a day. The medication can be kind of hard on your liver for some people, and you need to ensure that you are not HIV positive as you're taking that medication. So every 3 months you're required to do blood work before you can get another 3 months worth of prescription. It's been just over 3 months since I last did the blood work and got the last 3 months of prescription. So I need to go back next week, drop by the doctor's office and get another set of blood work done. But I actually went off of taking it in April because I was just in lockdown at home and I was not within 6 feet of anyone. Someone's been bothering me that I think is a little bit hard for me to talk about, and I kind of have to talk around it because I don't think I can talk directly at it. Sometimes words come out and I don't know if it actually makes sense or not. Let me put it this way. Sometimes maybe in a group situation, you might say something you shouldn't say. It's not with bad intentions and it's not explicitly bad, but maybe what you say is not the most fitting for that situation or with that group of people at that particular time. As someone else in the group, you might recognize them and be like, I'm not sure if that person should be saying that stuff right now to these people. If you're in that situation where you recognize, hey, maybe that person should be saying that, I think there's also good ways and bad ways to approach it. I think being extremely sarcastic and passive aggressive might not be the best way to get the point across to the person who you think maybe shouldn't have brought up the topic that they brought up. In some ways that reminds me of one of the reasons why one of my previous roommates and I didn't get along very well. Here's the thing, not everyone's gonna say the most appropriate thing for every situation every single time. We've all had situations where, hey, the thing I said, maybe they just weren't thinking completely through it, or they thought it was completely okay, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, right? No one's gonna be 100% on that all the time. And maybe that person you think requires feedback, which they probably do, right? If that person's not recognizing what they said in that situation is maybe not appropriate, that person should get the feedback so that they learn and they cannot do it again in the future. But there are good ways and bad ways to give that feedback. If in front of the whole group you are very passive aggressive with your feedback, maybe that's not the best strategy. Maybe you want to like discreetly tell that person, hey, I think what you said may not have been the most appropriate because it hurt this person's feelings or for these reasons that I'm sure your friend didn't mean to just say something inappropriate intentionally in front of the whole group. That's as much as I'm gonna say without going on a complete rant. So let's have a look at the news today. So 10 states have announced that they're not moving ahead to the next phase of reopening. So these are Arizona, Arkansas, Delaware, Idaho, Louisiana, Maine, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, and Texas. There's speculation as to what's causing the recent uptick in new cases. Some talk about people that are younger in the 20s and 30s having gatherings with friends and family and it's spreading that way. And there's some talk about the recent protests contribute to the spike. But there's a chart here from CNN that shows cases going up, then back down, and now they're going back up again. If there was ever a second wave, it would probably look exactly like that on a chart. So states are pausing, reopening stuff and lifting back restrictions. The next thing to watch for is, are there gonna be any places where they put back in restrictions that have been lifted recently? Because I think that would be kind of hard to convince people to go back on some of those. Also in the news this week is that the EU is considering blocking travelers flying in from the US. I don't know if they've actually done it yet or they're just still talking about it. Even today when I was going to PT, I walked there and walked back. It was about a little over a mile each way. There were more people wearing masks than I remember from when I went for my weekend runs the weeks before. However, there was still probably 1 in 6 or 1 in 8 people that were not wearing a mask that didn't really look like they had a reason to not wear a mask. It's not like they were talking on a phone or eating or drinking or smoking or anything. They just weren't wearing a mask. We're gonna skip comments today because we haven't had that many comments after having lots of comments yesterday. Again, I know there are at least maybe 100 or so, 200 or so of you watching this. So I just want to know how you guys are doing. You guys see how I'm doing all the time. I want to know how you guys are doing. So comment down below and just tell me what's up with you. For the song of the day, we're gonna listen to a song I have not listened to. So I talked about the K-pop group 17. They just released a new mini album, the name of which I cannot pronounce. The latest single they have, there's 2 actually. There's a single called My, which I have heard, but they just released a music video for the newest single, which is called Left and Right. I'm gonna listen to it together now. I'm not so sure. I've said this before. Usually the very first time I listen to a new song, even if it's from an artist I like, even if it's from one of my favorite artists, I don't tend to be super into the song. It definitely takes a while. And that's why I don't discover new music very much, because if I just listen to songs and I know I like it on like first or second listen, I would probably like a lot more songs. But because it takes me listening to it 10 times, 15 times before I know whether I'm like into it or not, I'm never gonna listen to a song 10 times if I don't like it by then, right? Alright, I think that's gonna just about do it for the vlog for today. The house hunt is what I'm going to be looking into tonight. There are now 3 active listings that I'm looking at now versus a couple of weeks ago where there was 1 listing and I thought, oh my god, there's so little listings. I really wish I could set foot in each of these 3 places so that I can get a real sense of what the physical space is like. I feel like if I could go into these 3 places and tour it in person, I would have a much better sense of whether the place feels like home or is a place that I feel like I could turn into my home. The virtual tours are really not the same. Having my realtor go down there is nice and he can look for things that I won't know to look for, but it's still not the same as me being there. But one of my realtor friends gave me this advice: make a list of your must-haves and your want-to-haves And if a place feels like at least a 7 or an 8, think about putting an offer in. So that's what I'm gonna try to do tonight is look closer at these 3 places. My realtor also sent me some paperwork as well, which I need to look at sometime tonight. Yay, awesome Friday night looking at paperwork from a realtor. Come back tomorrow and Sunday. We're gonna do runs again. We're gonna resume getting my fat ass off and doing exercise. I haven't done any exercise in like 2 weeks. And we're gonna start packing the house too, because we only have 25 days before we have to move out of here. So yeah, come back. It might be a fun weekend. Possibly, maybe. I don't know. See you tomorrow. Bye, YouTube.